Welcome back to the second part of the video. Just to recapitulate where we left, that in the previous stanza, we see how these politicians and how these affluent people and these beneficent beasts and these greedy good doers, how they make a noise about it all, that they're doing something for the poor people. Because the first line says it is in the news. So the news is being broadcast or telecast, and they're trying to make everybody know and, make a big noise about it. You know how these people are, they do something small, but they always want their pictures to be taken doing that, or they want it to be circulated all around what they have done, because that's basically just a political gimmick. So here also we see that in the first line they say that it is in the news that these so-called government officials or these other agencies that are helping and these other affluent people, they're all trying to do something for the poor people by relocating them to places where their lives will be comfortable, will be easy and better. But we know that it is not the truth, because once they are shifted and once they get the ownership of the land on their name, then they will forget about everything and they will just sleep over it, not do anything about it, and they will snatch the sleep of these poor people also, who at least, if nothing else, at least that was something that they had, that they could, they didn't have any burden of any kind. But now once they are relocated, their land is taken away from them, there's no agriculture, there's nothing, no physical work involved. So what is going to happen? Basically, when there is no work for them, there is no food for them. So whatever money that has been given to them in lieu of that land which they have bought from them, some of these people might just squander it, might just waste it all, and then they will be left with nothing. And as a result, what will happen? They will get into all evil practices, all bad habits, and stealing and robbery and theft and murder, and as a result their lives will become a living hell. So that is what this stanza is very, very important from that point of view, that they trying to tell them that you will get a very sound sleep, but actually they will snatch their sleep from them due to these reasons. After shifting, there will be problems of a different kind. And before they have been shifted, there are problems of a different kind. And also, we see that the age-old practice of exploitation is still going on even today. Even though when we proclaim ourselves to be very educated, highly educated and all that. Okay, so now we come on to the next stanza. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear. I feel myself, that is the poet is saying, and I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. He really can't get over the fact that these people, these rural people, they have such a childish dream, a childish longing, a childish desire. Why is it childish? Because children can always long and desire, but sometimes it's not possible to give them what they desire. So the same thing over here is that they're longing for it, they're desiring for it. It's a dream for them, but then it is in vain. Why is it in vain? Because no result will be, there will be no outcome, there will be no results to it, and it will be of no use. In vain means futile, of no use. The sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer. The sadness that lurks. Now, sadness has been given a human quality here. Lurking means hiding, to be present, but not in a very clear form. So lurking around, the sadness that lurks around. So sadness has been given a human trait. So this is a personification. And where is it lurking around? Near the open window of that shed there, that waits all day in almost open prayer. So near the window, they are waiting and literally, praying that some car would come and stop at their roadside stand and buy something from them. So they're literally waiting all day, eagerly waiting, anxiously waiting for some car to stop, but then, their desire remains unfulfilled. And, okay, that waits all day in almost open prayer for the squeal of brakes. Squeal, when you apply the brakes loudly, there is a screeching sound from the brakes. So they are waiting for the squeal of brakes means for the cars to stop. The sound of a stopping car, of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass. Just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are. Now this stanza tells us this is their longing. What are they desiring? Why is there sadness? They're desiring for some customer to come and stop at their roadside stand. And what is their desire? That they come and buy something from them. But what happens? Nobody comes. But still, they keep praying, they keep waiting, they wait all day in open prayer, Otherwise, do we go and pray in temples and mosques and churches and gurudwaras? Here they're standing in the roadside stand and, it's an open prayer. And literally requesting God to send somebody, And they're waiting for the car to stop. The squealing of brakes means the stopping of the car. And of all the 1,000 selfish cars, this means there's heavy traffic on that road. So the 1,000 tells us. Now, selfish cars. There is a figure of speech here. Can cars be selfish? No. It is the people sitting inside the car who are selfish. So the poet has used selfish cars. That means he has transferred the selfishness to the car. So it is a transferred epithet. In some sense, we could also use personification, that the car has been given a human trait of being selfish. So I think both can be acceptable. Selfish car is a personification as well as a transferred epithet. Why? Because the car cannot be selfish. It's the people inside the car who are selfish. So it's a transferred epithet. So the farmer, he keeps praying for some car to come and stop over there, and just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are. So that is what his dream is. That is what he prays for, that some car stops out of the, many cars that are passing by, speeding up and down. So he just wants that one car at least should stop and inquire about his produce, inquire about the price of that product, as he wants to sell it. Okay, next line. And one did stop. So his prayer was granted, but ironically. And one did stop, one car did stop, but only to plow up grass by using the yard to back and turn around. Okay, yard means the compound, the area over there. So one car did stop, but that he only wanted to reverse his car, or he wanted to turn around. And what did he do? He only damaged the grass that was growing there. The grass got pulled out, or it got furrowed, okay, spoiled, uprooted. It's because he used the backyard to just turn his car around. Then another one came to ask the way to where it was bound. Now one was trying to get familiar with the bearings, and he wanted to know where that road was leading to. Where was this road leading to? So direction he wanted. And another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? Now this is the third one who comes, and he says that, do you have some fuel? Gas in America, we call them petrol pumps here. In America, they're called gas stations. And the petrol, the fuel that is filled, that is called gas. So that is why a gallon of gas, the word has been used, because it's in the American context, which means petrol. Now they couldn't. This crossly, they had none. Didn't it see? Now this crossly has again been used to depict anger. But how foolish, how stupid could this man be? Can't he see what has been displayed there? How could he even imagine that there could be fuel or there could be petrol selling here? Okay. So crossly means angrily, because it was so obvious that he had no petrol to sell, and then why ask such a silly question? So all these people who did stop, so the prayer was granted in a way, but it was ironic. Why? Because none of them came to actually came to buy the produce. Everybody came for various other reasons. One came to just turn his car around because he found space in the compound. The next one comes to ask about the direction of the road. The third one comes to ask whether they sold petrol or fuel. Okay, next stanza. No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. So the poet talks in a negative sense. No, in country money, in rural areas or rural money, the country scale of gain, scale means the size, the ratio, the proportion of gain. I mean, it can never be possible. This is what the complaint of the villagers is. That's why they put up the roadside stand. The villagers complain. What do they complain about? That they don't have enough cash. They don't have enough money. And whatever they are, sowing and harvesting, that goes in, maybe it's used up in the family only, the produce that they have, or there is very little money that they have. So when there is a constraint of finances, then what happens? Your life becomes very tedious. It becomes cumbersome, very tedious. I mean, you just don't know how to live life. You're always worried, you're always anxious, there is no happiness, and you cannot enjoy. So that is what the rural people are talking about. They're also complaining that they don't have much money, cash flowing in their hands, so they cannot enjoy themselves, they cannot lead a comfortable life, and their spirits are, their spirits can never be lifted. Spirits lifted means to be happy. The requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Life is dull for them, boring for them, monotonous for them, and that lift of spirit, that happiness, and requisite means the essential, the required, the expected lift of spirit has never been found. That happiness, that level of happiness has never been found. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. That is what the voice of the country is. Voice of the country, that's what their thoughts are, that's what their views are of all the country people. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. Now this is the poet talking. I can't help owning, saying, expressing the great relief it would be. It would be a big relief, if somebody just at one stroke would actually try to bring an end to this pain or suffering of the country people, So, okay, out of their pain. And then next day, as I come back into the Seine, I wonder how I would like you to come to me. Now here, the poet, he goes into a kind of, an imaginative world, okay? A world of his own where he's imagining that there is no pain and there is no suffering, and these people, are actually living a comfortable life. So he goes into that world of imagination, a world of fiction, and he imagines everything good for them. But then the next day, as I come back into the Seine, so the next day when the poet comes back to reality, in the right state of mind, when he comes back to reality, then he realizes, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. Now, the poet here empathizes with these people, and he is also equally pained and hurt at the circumstances that are being faced by these rural people. So what does he say? The poet was pained by their plight. He experienced that. Now here I would just like to give you two words. One is sympathy, one is apathy, and one is empathy. They should not be mixed up. Sympathy is to have pity on somebody, to give a pitiful look or to have pity. Empathy is to actually feel that pain, to step into the shoes of that person and realize what that person is going through. That is empathy. And empathy is definitely better than sympathy. And the other word that I told you is apathy. Apathy means to overlook, to be indifferent. The apathy of the government. The government just looked over the matter and didn't do anything about it. Indifferent attitude. Not taking an effort to understand or not willing to do something. That is apathy. So sympathy, empathy, and apathy. These words should be used in different contexts. So here, the poet is actually, he's both sympathetic as well as empathetic. And he was pained by the plight of these farmers. So he says, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of pain. His pain. Somebody could come and end his pain that he was going through. So he wants people to come forward. It's an appeal, it's a request kind of a thing. To come forward to do something, for the betterment of these people. So here we can say, I wonder how. Very politely he is questioning, and he's asking for permission, very politely. That how can their pain be ended? How can their suffering be brought to an end? So we see over here, and then next day as I came back into the scene, I told you, first he went into an imaginary world, a world of fiction, a very philosophical kind of a world where he visualized everything for them. But then reality and fiction are poles apart, So when harsh reality stares at you in the face, it's very, very difficult to accept it, and it is very, very painful, very, very painful. Now, here, so we can say the poet in the last stanza and is very, very angry and upset also. He's outraged, angry. He's outraged at the callous attitude. Callous is indifferent attitude. They see everything, but they don't do anything about it. So he's very, very outraged at the callous attitude of the government, then the civic authorities and the social service agencies who make a noise about helping them, who talk about helping them and appearing to help them, but actually they are not doing anything for them and instead end up harming them. And when the news talks about, as I told you, to relocate these people to the vicinity of towns near the theatre and the shops, that is just an eyewash. They claim that they will be well looked after and they will have nothing to worry about. But actually, it's not like that. And the poet thinks that it is a great disservice to these people. Why? Because they have been robbed of their voices. Their voices have been taken away. They can't speak. And the freedom and the ability to find solutions to their problems. They have become what you call puppets in the hands of these so-called people. They have literally become puppets because now they are at their mercy. They don't have anything of their own. They've been relocated. They've been shifted over there and they will act just as they are told to act. So they have lost their voice. Lost their voice means to put forward their views or complaints or whatever they want to say, to speak openly. So they have lost that. They have lost their ability to find solutions. That means to make decisions for themselves. So that has also been lost. So they've been robbed of all that. And they have been brought into this situation. How? Due to what reason? By giving them a very, very rosy picture of, a sense of security and comfort and luxuries, of course, not to that extent, but comfort in a life that will be easier for them. But all these decisions have been made in a very calculated manner, all very, very manipulative. So in the long run, they are not going to be benefited at all. And ultimately, what will be the end of it will be, they will culminate in a futile sense of dissatisfaction for the villagers. Because if you take away their basic living, for a farmer out in the fields, out in the open, plowing with his animals, with his crop, with his fields. I mean, that is life for them. But if you bring them to, the towns, and if you talk about theatre, and if you talk about all things being at the doorstep and easily available, that has very little meaning for the farmer. So basically, the life will be pulled out of him, that they will take away their life only. So there will be complete dissatisfaction. Then we want to say that the rural people, he empathizes with them for getting into this kind of a situation, for leading themselves into this kind of a situation, and with the promise of well-being and contentment, but what they will get will be nothing. But then he wants somebody to come forward to end this pain and this suffering genuinely for these villagers, genuinely. Not by these beneficent beasts or greedy good doers, but some people who really take it on as a big responsibility, to shoulder this responsibility of improving the lives of these people, so that they can also experience. So what basically it is, the divide that is there between the rich and the poor, the divide that is there between the people of the town or affluent areas and the rural people. The town people tend to be very condescending towards the villagers. They generally think that they're rustics, they don't know enough, and they cannot compete with them, and they cannot be at par with them. So that kind of a divide, that is what the poet is very unhappy about, that the city people should have a more empathetic and more sympathetic behavior towards the rural people. And why is it important? Why? Because basically the flower of the cities that the poet talks about, the flower of the cities will only grow, will only prosper, will only gain in large proportions if this flower of cities has a sympathetic, empathetic, and concerned feeling about the rural people. Because basically we see that the grassroots level, anything that is at the grassroots level has to be good. It's only when the grassroots level is, fully, in a condition to see proper growth and everything like learning or education or prosperity or happiness or labor or whatever skills that you have, if that is good at the grassroots level, only then the cities can flourish. And if that flourishes in proportion, only then can a nation flourish. So it's a very far-sighted dream. If we ignore the rural background, the cities can never flourish. That is what they said in the beginning also, that the flower of cities, the growth that is there, prosperity that is there, the progress that is there, it should actually not be at the top level only, it should be down at the base also, the grassroots level also. So if those people are educated, and if those people are brought up and taught in a better way, or received in a better way, or nurtured in a better way, then obviously the city life will progress, and as a result, the nation will also progress. Okay. I would like to do a few question and answers with you so that it becomes easy for you. Okay. Where was the new shed put up? What was its purpose? So the roadside stand was put up on one side of the road, next to the little old house, and its purpose was to sell certain things to the city folk. The local produce in the form of fruit and vegetables, the local produce to the city people. Why does the poet use the word pathetic? Pathetically pleading. The poet uses the word pathetic because the roadside stand seems to be pleading for attention, but in vain, without any results. So it's pleading pathetically, but there is no response, because no one stopped to inquire or buy anything. What is the flower of cities? The flower of cities is a metaphor, And this talks about the progress, growth, prosperity, which is there all because of money. They have a circulation or flow of money because of the rich people, the affluent people who are there, who can afford to buy all the good things and beautiful things in the world. Okay. What do you mean by the expression out of sorts? What is its significance? As I told you, the expression out of sorts means that even if they do stop by the roadside stand, it is out of sorts. It's in an angry mood. They are angry. What are they angry about or irritated about? They're irritated that the roadside stand, it has marred the beauty. It's of the beautiful landscape around. The roadside stand is like a blot or a blemish, and it's out of place. It's spoiling the beauty around because of the crude way in which the roadside stand has been made, the way the signs have been painted and wrongly put up. So all this was a blot on the view around. Okay, what were sold at the roadside stand? And wild berries, that was the first thing they said when we said those quartz, wooden quartz, the wild berries. Then we have the golden squash. Then we had from the pumpkin family. Then we had the other vegetable which I told you was from the gourd family. Okay, so all that was being sold there, and it had not been, it was very unqualitative to look at also, and maybe that was also lack of maybe their aesthetic sense, how to display it or, arrange it in a more beautiful manner, so that appealing manner. Okay, next question. What attraction does the place offer? The place offers a beautiful mountain scene. Okay. Why is the city dweller termed to be mean? The city dweller, despite having all the wealth and riches, he is termed to be mean because he behaves in a very miserly manner, very stingy manner when he crosses by the roadside stand, because he doesn't stop or he doesn't care, to buy something or from that stand so that he could, be of some help to the poor farmer. So the stinginess and the miserliness and not spending money. What do you think is the real worry of the poet? The poet is not bothered or not worried about that the roadside stand has marred the beauty of the landscape or something like that. But what he is hurt about is, the rural people, they had so much of faith in the city people that they are so rich, they have that picture, that image in mind, that they are so rich, they are so well off, and they can easily shed with a little bit of money, part with a little bit of money and buy something from them. So the hurting factor is the betrayal, the farmer feels betrayed by the attitude of the city people by not even looking in that direction, let alone buying. So feels very betrayed and hurt on seeing the response of the city people. Okay, the breach of trust that is there, he feels that they have broken that trust, the betrayal, as I said. Next question. Why do the people running the roadside stand expect? They expect some money from the city people so that they can also realize their dreams and they can also become a little better and have a better standard of living, a little more, prosperous. Okay. What is the party in power doing for the rural people? Now, the party in power is doing nothing for the rural people because the party in power only acts like the people are only a vote bank for that party, and they're very indifferent towards their needs. They're very callous in their approach towards them. So they hardly do anything for them. Okay. Next question, please. Why won't the poor rural people have any need to think for themselves? Why will they not think? They will lose their mind, they will lose their voices, everything, as we had in the last stanza. Because the poor rural people, they will be in the grip of the so-called benefactors. They are not benefactors in a true sense, but the so-called benefactors, and they will decide everything for them. If they could make them leave their land and come there, that means they have a real hold over those people and they can make them do anything. So there was no need for them to think for themselves. The so-called benefactors would only do all the thinking, because ultimately these people will only become puppets in their hands of these policy makers. Okay, who are greedy, good doers, beneficent, beasts of prey? The figure of speech is alliteration, GG and BB, and it's an oxymoron, two contrasting qualities. Okay, they are the city people who appear to be generous and helpful, but actually they exploit the rural people. How do they exploit the rural people? They make the rural people work, while they themselves sleep. So once they have achieved their target, then they only sleep and they continue with their comfort level. But these are the people who are exploited, and they are the ones who work. What do you mean by the ancient way? The ancient way talks about the age-old system of the rich trying to exploit the poor innocent people. Next question. What is the childish longing? Now, the childish longing on the part of the farmer who's running that roadside stand is that there will be some customers and they will stop at the stand and they will buy something from him. But nothing of that sort happened. Okay, next question. Why do the people driving in the car stop sometime? Maybe they just stop there, to turn around, and maybe just to find out about the direction or where the road is leading to, or maybe one of them stopped only to ask for fuel or gas. Okay. Next question. Why do the rural people remain sad and depressed? Why do the rural people remain sad and depressed? Very simple, one reason only: for lack of money. They don't have sufficient amount of money so that they can improve their living, their standard of living, or maybe give a few other amenities to the family. So shortage of money is the basic depressing thought. What is the complaint of the rural people? The complaint is again the same thing as I told you, that they do not have enough money to be happy, to raise their standard a little bit, or to afford a better or a decent standard of living. Okay, next question. Explain the line, or so the voice of the country seems to complain. This is the last stanza. No, in country money, the country scale of gain, that is the growth, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Lift of spirit, happiness, because they seem to be there for ages where they were. There has been no growth over there. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. Voice of the country. Here there's a figure of speech that is a personification. They've taken a country. Voice of the country means the voice of all the people. So here that the figure of speech used is personification. Voice of the country seems to complain. That means it is the general complaint of all the rural people together. That is why it is called the voice of the country. Okay. Explain the line. I can't help owing the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. As I told you, that he goes into a magical world of his own, a world of, imagination, and we could also call it wishful thinking. So when he goes into that world of wishful thinking, magical, an illusionary world, then he imagines, that at one stroke, in one go, that pain can be removed, their suffering can be removed. So he wants to create that picture of happiness, that, something like that should happen, that at one stroke only, all their misery, all their suffering, it comes to an end. Next, explain. And then next day as I came back into the same, I wonder how I should like you to come to me. Now, next day means when he comes into the world of, when he comes out of the world of wishful thinking, this imaginary world, and comes back to the world of reality, harsh reality, sane. When you're sane means when you're mindful, when you're in the right frame of mind, not insane, not mad. To reality, to wisdom. Sane would be wisdom. Okay. Then I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. Here, he just expects somebody to come and put him out of that pain. Pain means out of that unhappiness, and relieve him of that unhappiness. Okay. All right. What does the poet think of money and its power? In today's world, we all say, money makes the mare go. All those who have money have everything. Money is important for the smooth sailing in life, because people who have money, it's easy. Life becomes easy for them. But the rural people have to suffer endlessly for lack of it. For lack of money, for the want of money, the rural people really have to suffer. It is money that supports all kinds of development in the city. And because of money, a city has many, the best and the beautiful things in cities are erected or constructed, or, they are kept intact only because of money. Okay, next question. What kind of news is referred to by the poet? The poet, as I told you, it's in the news. The poet refers to the news that the poor, the pitiable persons, they are being relocated, or they are being shifted to live in near the theatre and near the cinema halls. The greedy good doers and the beneficent beasts. They do not think about the actual, they do not think about actually improving the lot of these people, but they are only doing it for their vested interest. They are only exploiting them. What does the poet find missing in the city people? The poet finds the charitable spirit, spirit to donate, the charitable spirit to give out happily, missing in the city people, because they prove to be stingy, miserly. They don't want to shell out any money. They don't want to part with their money, which is badly needed by the rural people. Okay, when will the poet be relieved of his pain? The poet will be relieved of his pain and misery when the misery and suffering and exploitation of the rural people is removed. When that comes to an end, then the poet will be relieved. And in that, he wants the city people to be instrumental to bring about that change, to bridge the gap that is there between the city people and the poor rural people or the countryside people. Why does Robert Frost sympathize with rural people? He sympathizes with the rural people because he himself has gone through that process of suffering and exploitation, and he feels that the rich and the powerful always exploit the poor. He himself has gone through that many a time, and so he can actually empathize with them. He stepped into their shoes, so that is why he can feel their anguish and their helplessness. That's all for today, and I hope the text has been clear and I have been able to reach across. I've tried my level best. And please don't forget to press the like button if I have been able to reach across to you. Thank you very much for watching.